Have you ever walked away from a conversation and only later thought of the perfect thing to say? In the moment, your mind felt blank. Not empty. Just frozen. You could feel your heartbeat. You could hear your own silence. And the more you tried to think of something smart, the less your brain gave you. Why does that happen? And more importantly, can you change it? A visual. Person standing in a crowded room, sound muted, tooth problem deep dive. It's not just about awkwardness. It's the meeting where you stay quiet even though you had an idea. The group conversation where you laugh along but don't contribute. The message you rewrite 3 times before sending. Afterward, your inner voice starts talking. You're bad at conversations. You're not interesting. Other people are just better at this. Over time, this becomes identity. You stop seeing it as a momentary freeze. You start seeing it as who you are. Psychology has a name for this pattern. It's a mix of social evaluation anxiety and working memory overload. In simple terms, your brain becomes too busy protecting you to help you speak. And here's the part most people miss. The silence isn't because you have nothing to say. It's because your brain is trying to prevent rejection. But why would it do that at the exact moment you need clarity? That's where things get interesting. A visual, empty room with sunlight, quiet and still 3 reframe, you are not socially broken. Your brain is doing what it evolved to do. For most of human history, social rejection wasn't just uncomfortable. It was dangerous. Being excluded from the group meant fewer resources, less protection, sometimes even death. So your nervous system developed a priority: belong first, speak second. If there's any risk of saying the wrong thing, your brain would rather freeze than let you say something that could threaten connection. That freeze isn't weakness. It's an ancient safety response. But in modern conversations, that same protective system often misfires. And once you understand how it misfires, you can work with it. Visual, slow moving light patterns resembling neural signals. 4 psychological mechanism. Let's slow this down. When you're in a conversation, 2 systems are competing. System 1, the social threat detector. This involves the amygdala and parts of the limbic system. Its job is simple: scan for danger, a raised eyebrow, a pause, a change in tone. If it senses possible rejection, it activates stress hormones. Your heart rate rises, your muscles tighten, your attention narrows. Now here's the key, the part of your brain that helps you form sentences. Your prefrontal cortex relies on working memory. Working memory is like a small mental whiteboard. You can only hold a few pieces of information at once. But when anxiety rises, stress hormones partially shut down that whiteboard. It's like someone shaking the table while you're trying to write. That's why your mind goes blank. Not because you lack intelligence, but because your brain temporarily reallocates resources from creativity to survival. Here's a simple mental model. Imagine your brain as a stage. When you feel safe, the speaker stands under the spotlight. When you feel judged, the security guard runs on stage and pushes the speaker aside. The security guard isn't evil. He just thinks you're in danger. The problem, he doesn't know the difference between a tiger and a networking event. A visual, abstract brain animation shifting from calm to alert. So the real question becomes, how do you keep the speaker on stage, even when the security guard gets nervous? That's where the framework begins. 5 practical framework. Step 1, shift from performance to curiosity. What to do: stop trying to be interesting. Start trying to be interested. Ask one simple follow-up question. Why did you choose that? What was that like for you? Why it works. Curiosity activates the brain's exploratory networks instead of its defensive ones. When your focus moves outward, self-monitoring decreases. Research in social psychology shows that attention directed toward others reduces social anxiety because you're no longer evaluating yourself in real time. Example: instead of thinking, I need to say something smart, you think, I want to understand this person better. The pressure drops. Your mind has space again. Have visual: 2 people talking. 1 listening calmly. Step 2, I slow the tempo. What to do: pause before responding. 1 breath, that's it. Let silence exist for 2 seconds. Why it works. Anxiety speeds up your internal clock. You feel rushed, which increases cognitive load. A slow breath signals safety to the nervous system through the vagus nerve. When your body calms, working memory capacity improves. You're literally giving your brain bandwidth to think. Example: someone asks you a question in a meeting. Instead of filling the space immediately, you inhale slowly and begin with, that's an interesting point. Now you're thinking while speaking. A visual: waves moving slowly, steady rhythm. Step 3, use the bridger technique. What to do: If you don't know what to say, connect the topic to something adjacent. Use phrases like, that reminds me of. Something similar happened when. Why it works. Your brain stores memories in networks. When you activate one idea, related ideas become easier to access. This is called spreading activation in cognitive science. By building a bridge, you reduce the demand on working memory because you're pulling from existing associations. Example: a friend talks about traveling to Italy. You don't need an original insight. You can say, that reminds me of the first time I traveled alone. Now you're in familiar territory, and familiarity reduces threat signals. A visual notebook with one sentence written, that reminds me of. Step 4. Redefine. Good conversation. What to do. Stop measuring conversations by how impressive you sounded. Measure them by connection. Did the other person feel heard? Why it works. Perfectionism increases self-monitoring. Self-monitoring overloads the prefrontal cortex and increases anxiety. When you redefine success, you lower internal evaluation. Lower evaluation to lower threat response. Example: after a conversation, instead of asking, did I sound smart? Ask, did I make them feel understood? That small shift changes future behavior automatically, because the brain optimizes for what you define as success. A visual person walking alone at night, reflecting quietly. Step 5. Practice. Low stakes reps. What to do. Deliberately speak in small, low-pressure situations. Comment to the barista. Make a short observation to a colleague. Nothing deep, just reps. Why it works. Exposure therapy principles apply here. Repeated safe exposure teaches the amygdala that social interaction is not dangerous. Neurons that fire together wire together. Calm conversation becomes the new pairing. Example: you say, busy day today, to someone at a store. It's simple. But your brain logs it as evidence. I spoke. Nothing bad happened. Over time, the security guard relaxes. A visual subtle montage of small daily interactions. 6. Integration. So here's the mental model to remember the stage. There is a speaker, and there is a security guard. Your goal is not to eliminate the guard. It's to reassure him. Curiosity tells him there's no threat. Breathing calms his alarm system. Bridges reduce cognitive strain. Redefining success lowers pressure. Small reps retrain his expectations. You don't become someone else. You create conditions where your real thoughts can finally step forward, and something subtle happens. When you stop trying to say the perfect thing, you start saying the real thing, and real things are what people remember. A visual empty stage slowly lighting up. A 7. Quiet, empowering. Close. You were never bad at conversations. You were cautious, careful, wired for belonging, and that wiring isn't your enemy. It just needs direction. Next time you feel your mind go blank, don't panic. Picture the stage. Take one breath. Ask one question. Build one bridge. That's enough. Because knowing what to say was never about having better words. It was about feeling safe enough to let the words you already have come through. And maybe the silence you feared wasn't emptiness at all. Maybe it was just your brain waiting for safety.